All legends begin with a story. In the heart of ancient Britannia, where the rolling hills whispered secrets of old, and forests stood as silent witnesses to time, a storm unlike any other brewed over the village of the Iceni tribe. The sky was torn asunder by jagged lightning, each flash illuminating the rugged landscape that had nurtured warriors and kings for centuries. Amidst the storm, a piercing cry of a child sliced through the air. Boudica had been born. Daughter to a mighty Iceni chieftain, her birth was as much a prophecy as it was a celebration. Her fiery spirit, evident from the first breath, shimmered like her flaming red hair. The air around her stirred with the future tales of valor and whispered of destiny, foretelling battles and triumphs that would etch her name in the annals of history. Raised in the robust traditions of her tribe, Boudica was no ordinary child. She learned the art of the sword and the secrets of druidic wisdom with the same ease as she mastered horsemanship, her figure blurring atop the wildest of steeds. Each sunrise brought new lessons, etching into her the determination and pride of a future leader. As twilight draped the land, the druids, ancient guardians of wisdom, gathered around young Boudica. Under starlit skies, they imparted mysteries of old, the tales of gods and heroes, secrets of earth and sky. With each story and ritual, her wisdom deepened, molding her into the future warrior queen of the Iceni. Yet amidst these tales, a shadow loomed. Rome, with its ambition and iron will, cast a growing shadow over the Iceni lands. Her father, sensing the shifting tides, saw in his daughter not just an heir, but a beacon of hope. To safeguard their people, he brokered a marriage between Boudica and Prasidigus, a chieftain renowned for his valor and strategic mind. This union, while born of political need, blossomed into a partnership of mutual respect and shared ideals. Their marriage, marked by a grand ceremony, symbolized the unity and empowerment of their tribes. Together they stood, a formidable force against any threat. Boudica's spirit, now adorned with the wisdom of partnership, prepared her for the weight of a kingdom. But peace was fleeting. Prasidigus, seeking to protect his kingdom, formed an uneasy alliance with Rome. Iceni horsemen, known for their skill, were enlisted as auxiliary units in the Roman army. Boudica, though standing beside her husband, harbored deep reservations about this alliance, her heart ablaze with a silent defiance against Rome's creeping influence. The fragile peace was shattered when Prasidigus became suddenly ill and died. Whispers of Roman deceit swirled around Boudica, filling her with resentment and anger. With her daughters by her side and the weight of a kingdom on her shoulders, Boudica stood at a crossroads. Her heart ached for her lost love, but the warrior queen within her refused to yield. The seeds of rebellion were planted, awaiting their moment to bloom. And so, the stage was set. From the heart of a storm, a warrior queen was born, her destiny intertwined with the fate of her people and the looming shadow of an empire. Boudica's journey, a saga of courage, resilience, and unconquered spirit, was about to unfold. As Boudica stood alone amongst a fragile peace shattered by Roman deceit, the storm of rebellion began to brew. In the heart of Rome, Emperor Nero, his mind a maze of paranoia and power, set his eyes on Britannia's complete subjugation. The Iceni, with their fiery queen, stood as a beacon of defiance to his quest for absolute power over Britannia. In Rome's shadowed halls, Suetonius Paulinus, a former general turned governor, saw in Boudica a challenge to the Roman order. He conspired with the cold-hearted procurator Catus Decius and ordered a sinister plot to extinguish the fires of Iceni resistance by bringing about the death of Prasidigus. Under Catus's cruel hand, The Iceni lands, once alive with the spirit of freedom, were choked by the iron grip of Roman oppression. The air, once filled with the songs of the free, now carried the clinking of chains and the cries of the oppressed. In these dark times, the spark of rebellion was kindled. Boudica's warriors would clash with Roman might, a prelude to the storm to come. The sudden and mysterious death of Prasidigus, king of the Iceni, sent whispers of poison snaking through the Iceni ranks. Boudica, in her grief and suspicion, saw the sinister hand of Rome behind her beloved's untimely end. The whispers of the masses turned into roars of fury, fueling her resolve to strike back. In a blaze of vengeance, Boudica led her warriors in a ferocious battle against Cadus's legion. The clash was thunderous, a dance of iron and fire, as they sought retribution for Roman treachery. Cadus met his end at the hands of those whom he sought to control, marking a turning point in Boudica's relentless pursuit of justice. The news of Cadus's downfall ignited a fury in Suetonius. He marched his legions into the Iceni heartlands, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. The brutal campaign sought to extinguish the flames of rebellion with blood and ash, turning the green lands of the Iceni into a testament of Roman vengeance. In a display of merciless power, Suetonius stripped Boudica of her royal crown, subjecting her to a public humiliation and having her beaten. Yet this act, meant to break her spirit, only served to forge her resolve into something fiercer, angrier. But the most grievous blow came when Suetonius, in an act of unspeakable cruelty, allowed his men to violate Boudica's daughters. This vile deed transformed her grief into an inferno of rage. Her wrath would shake Rome to its very core. Boudica, with words as fiery as the Celtic furnaces, united the tribes under a common cause, the destruction of Rome. Together they surged forth, sweeping across Britannia. Boudica, the Celtic queen of Britannia, was forged. As Boudica's rebellion raged like wildfire, Suetonius, consumed by a cold rage of his own, vowed to crush the uprising. The stage was set for the Battle of Watling, where the fate of Britannia would be written in blood and fire. Amidst the embers of her shattered kingdom, and burning with a fury ignited by Rome's cruelty, Boudica stood resolute. The violation of her daughters and the desecration of her rule had awakened an angry force within. With the echoes of her humiliation still ringing in the air, she turned her grief and rage into a call for rebellion. Her voice, as fierce as the northern winds, called to the tribes of Britannia, bringing them all under her banner to challenge the might of Rome. Warriors and chieftains from misty highlands and rolling fields answered her call, rallying under the banner of their flame-haired queen. The Celtic tribes, fragmented for so long, now stood united, a titanic force 100,000 strong against the might of the Roman Empire. Their first daring strike was at Camulodunum, a bastion of Roman oppression. Boudica, riding her chariot with her sword held high into the air, led the charge. The Iceni, alongside their newfound allies, descended upon the settlement with the fury of their ancestors. The clash was fierce and unforgiving. In a decisive battle, they shattered the Roman legion defending the city and razed it to the ground. Their victory at Camulodunum echoed as a powerful testament to the might of the Celtic uprising. The iron legions of Rome could be beaten. With the taste of victory fresh on their lips, Boudica's gaze turned to Londinium, the symbol of the glory of Rome in Britannia. This move, bold and strategic, marked a new chapter in her campaign. Londinium, a hub of Roman culture and power, loomed as the next conquest in her battle to free the Britannians from Rome's iron grip. Suetonius, upon hearing the fall of Camulodunum, rushed to Londinium. Facing Boudica's swelling army, a mass of Iceni warriors, United under the banner of their Celtic queen, he faced a dire choice. Engage with her armies unprepared and face annihilation, or retreat and let Boudica burn Londinium to the ground. Suetonius, ever the pragmatist, chose to retreat and left Londinium to its fate. As the Roman legions retreated, Boudica and her army descended upon Londinium. The city, unprepared for the wrath of the Celtic queen, was soon engulfed in relentless flames. The burning of Londinium was more than an act of war. It was a message of defiance given by Boudica. Britannia would be free from the tyranny of Rome. As the Roman legions retreated, Boudica led her forces into Londinium. Their advance was unstoppable, a determined surge of retribution. Soon, the city was wrapped in the fierce grip of flames. This act of burning Londinium was more than a conquest. It was a resounding declaration of defiance, a clear testament to Britannia's unyielding spirit under Boudica's command. As smoke rose from the ashes of Londinium, it painted the sky with a dark haze. Boudica stood at the forefront of the ruins, the ashes painted across her face. The united tribes, with the fiery Celtic queen at their helm, were ready to challenge the might of an empire. History braced itself for a conflict of epic proportions, where the full fury of a mother, a queen, and a warrior would be unleashed in a battle that would echo across the empire. As dawn broke over the chosen battlefield, Suetonius positioned his forces against a narrow defile, setting the stage for a clash that would decide Britannia's fate. He positioned his Roman legions strategically, turning the slender pass into a tactical advantage. This created a bottleneck that would force Boudica's forces into a frontal attack against his legion's shield wall. Suetonius, aware of the high stakes, grappled with the weight of his decision. Failure here could mean the end of Roman rule in Britannia. A mix of fear for his personal legacy and a desperate need for self-preservation influenced his every move. Rome would either prevail or fall. Meanwhile, Boudica, atop her chariot, surveyed the battlefield with a confident gaze. Her recent victories and the unshakable spirit of the Celtic tribes had bolstered her belief in their invincibility. However, in her zeal, she underestimated the cunning of the Roman general and the trap he had just laid. With a thunderous roar, Boudica gave the signal, and the Celtic warriors surged forward like a tidal wave of fury. The battle that ensued was a storm of steel and iron. The Celtic warriors, fueled by rage and a desire for vengeance, crashed into the lines of the disciplined Roman line. As the battle raged, Suetonius' strategy began to unfold. His forces, tightly arrayed in the narrow pass, withstood the Celtic onslaught. The Romans, in their disciplined formation, slowly began to turn the tide against the numerically superior but less organized Celts. With no room to maneuver, the Celts were forced into a reckless frontal charge. Like a wave crashing against a rocky tide, the Celtic force smashed itself into the iron shields of Rome, only to break and withdraw, to charge again. In the thick of the battle, Boudica, realizing the grim turn of events, refused to retreat. With a defiant cry, she urged her warriors to push harder, attempting to break the Roman lines. The air was filled with the clash of steel, the cries of the fallen, and the unyielding shouts of the combatants. But the Roman tactics, a blend of discipline and strategic positioning, began steadily overpowering the Celtic onslaught. Despite the ferocious assault led by Boudica, the Roman shield wall held firm. The disciplined Roman legions, fighting with the might and order of the empire, slowly but relentlessly pushed the Celtic forces back. In the chaos, a moment came where Boudica, her face smeared with ash and blood, found herself face to face with Suetonius. Their confrontation, amidst the chaos of battle, was not just a clash of swords, but of destiny and the entire fate of Britannia. It was the culmination of a long struggle, the personal cost of Boudica's rebellion versus Rome's iron grip. As the battle reached its climax, the harsh reality dawned upon the Celtic forces. The tactical superiority of the Romans, coupled with the challenging terrain, led to the gradual but inevitable defeat of Boudica's army. The dream of a free Britannia, under the rule of the Celtic queen, began to crumble under the relentless advance of Roman discipline. The Roman lines, sensing victory, pushed forward, cutting down every warrior that ran into their battle lines. The climax reached its heartbreaking conclusion with Boudica's defeat. The valiant effort of the Celtic warriors, a testament to their courage and spirit, ultimately succumbed to the strategic brilliance of Roman warfare. The battlefield, now a grim testament to the clash of two worlds, lay strewn with the consequences of rebellion and the remnants of shattered dreams. As the dust settled, Boudica, amidst the ruins of her ambition, faced the grim aftermath. The battle that was meant to be a symbol of freedom and defiance ended in the utter destruction of her forces. The iron discipline of the Roman soldiers withstood the onslaught from the manic horde of Boudica, drunk on its success. Boudica, with the last remnants of her forces, retreated from the battlefield, determined to regroup with those that remained. In the dim light of dawn, the shattered remnants of Boudica's army retreated through the scarred lands of Britannia. Each step was laden with the weight of broken dreams under the might of Rome. The unyielding hordes were now small groups of tired men carrying broken shields. Boudica, atop her shield, led this somber procession, her eyes reflecting the fire of battles past, now gazed upon a future clouded with uncertainty. The defeat at Watling Street was not just a loss in battle, but a crumbling vision she had nurtured, a free Britannia, unchained from the shackles of the tyranny of Rome. As they retreated, the haunting echoes of war rang in their ears, the clash of steel mixed with the cries of the fallen. The triumphant shouts of Roman legions all melded into a chorus that spoke of a rebellion that burned brightly, only to be extinguished in the face of an empire's unstoppable thirst for expansion. Behind them, Governor Suetonius, with a steely resolve, commanded his legionaries in a relentless hunt for the Celtic survivors. His eyes, cold and calculated, were set on eradicating every trace of the rebellion, ensuring that the might of Rome remained unchallenged. With calculated precision and cold steel, he led the Roman forces in pursuit of the retreating Celts, cutting down all in his wake. His legions, disciplined and relentless, were like a tide, methodically seeking to erase the remnants of Celtic resistance. Their advance, while methodical, was a clear message to any who dared defy Rome's authority, an example made in blood. In the quiet moments of retreat, Boudica found herself lost in reflection. Her mind wandered through the memories of those who had stood by her, warriors who had embraced her cause as their own, who had fought valiantly, believed in the possibility of a free Britannia. The rebellion, though born from a righteous fury, had exacted a heavy toll. Families were torn apart, tribes diminished, and the ravages of war scarred the land they called home. Boudica's heart ached with the heavy weight of this knowledge. Yet within her, the flame of resistance, though dim, refused to be extinguished. This was not Roman land. As they moved through the ancient landscapes of Britannia, the mist seemed to envelop them, a fitting shroud for a force that had once threatened the might of Rome. Boudica's gaze turned to the horizon, where the future lay hidden behind a veil of uncertainty. Her resolve, tested and tempered by the flames of rebellion, remained unbroken. She knew their struggle would be remembered in story and song, not about defeat, but about the fight for freedom against an opposing force. In the days that followed, stories of their defiance began to spread, whispered in hushed tones around campfires, and in the homes and hearths of those who yearned to be free. Boudica's name, once a rallying cry on the battlefield, became a symbol of unyielding defiance. While Rome slept, a spark of rebellion was kindled in every Britannian's heart. In the final hours of twilight, Boudica, the once proud Celtic queen of Britannia, steeled herself for one final confrontation. The relentless pursuit of Governor Suetonius and his legions gave no respite for Boudica or a chance for her weary army to regroup. Surrounded, and with no path left but defiance, she rallied her scattered forces for one last final stand against the might of Rome. Boudica, her eyes fired up with a raw passion of the land, addressed her remaining warriors. "We may be outnumbered, but our spirit is unbroken. Let our enemies bleed beneath our blades while we walk out in smoke and blood." Her voice, fierce and resolute, cut through the despair, igniting her remaining warriors into a fury of rage and metal. With one final roar, Boudica charged into battle, her chariot leading the way as a chariot of fire and defiance. Her warriors, inspired by her bravery, followed suit, their battle cries piercing the twilight. The clash was thunderous, a tumultuous battle of survival, as Celtic warriors clashed with Roman shields in a desperate bid for freedom. In the heat of the battle, Boudica fought with the fierceness of a wolf. Her every strike was calculated, cunning, and deadly. Suetonius, observing from the Roman lines, ordered his soldiers to capture her alive, seeking to crush the symbol of the rebellion once and for all. But fate had other plans. Boudica, sensing her imminent capture, charged at the lines, taking down several Roman soldiers, even as she was pierced through the chest by several spears. Even as she fell, her spirit unbroken denied Rome the satisfaction of her capture. Her final breath a testament to her unbreakable will. Witnessing their queen's fall, the Britannian warriors fought with a renewed frenzied fury, their hearts heavy with the loss but fueled with vengeance. They stood their ground heroically, knowing well the odds were against them. Their valiant efforts, however, were not enough against the overwhelming might of Rome. One by one, they fell beside their queen, their deaths remembered in song and stories as symbols for freedom against oppression. News of Boudica's heroic final stand soon spread across Britannia, transforming her from a mortal queen into legend. Her legacy was a symbol of the unyielding defiance for freedom that renewed a spirit of resistance across the land. In every corner of Britannia, whispers of her bravery fanned the flames of rebellion, ensuring that her spirit lived on in the hearts of those who yearned to break free from Roman rule. This enduring legacy of Boudica's defiance posed a continuous challenge to Roman occupation. The Roman Emperor Nero, now completely mad with power, screamed in fury at the ongoing rebellions that would define the Roman occupation of Britannia. This madness would eventually lead to his self-destruction, being unable to bring Britannia to heel. Ultimately, the continuous uprisings and the high cost of maintaining control in Britannia led to a pivotal decision by Rome. Facing unending resistance, fueled by the legacy of Boudica's sacrifice, Rome was eventually forced to withdraw its forces. This heroic moment marked the symbolic victory for the spirit of Boudica and is a testament to the enduring power of defiance. As the shadow of Rome receded from the lands of Britannia, the legacy of Boudica stood tall, a beacon of courage and a reminder that even in the face of the greatest empire the world had ever seen, the will of one woman could defy that empire. Her tale was passed down through the ages in story and song. She continued to inspire all who heard it, a timeless echo of bravery and sacrifice that truly made her one of the epic heroes of legend.